All right, let's jump right into some of these questions. First one is about 5-amino 1-MQ, SLU, and MOTS-C. Which one is better? Now, I don't think there's one that's better than the other because it's based on, what you're using it for. The MOTS-C, I think, really puts you in a good position to have better use of ATP and for your cells to have ATP production. So I do find it useful for endurance training. And right now I am doing a lot more cycling. So I average about like 110 to 130 miles per week. And it's not just cycling with minimal effort. I do sprints during the hour-long cardio sessions. Um, so I would say like that's been an improvement, and I've done a lot of different doses, a lot of different ways. I've done 1 milligram, done up to 3 milligrams 3 times a day. I've done 10 milligrams and sub Q. I've done intramuscular. These are all videos that I've done in the past, but I find that the uh, by itself, 3 milligrams, 3 times a day, really put me on a different energy level. And it didn't mess with my sleep because I did split it up between training sessions since I train twice a day. So uh, I feel like it maintained energy levels and recovery, and it kept me fueled. Now I'm also taking retatrutide, so there's a lot of variables in here. Okay, but I try to manage my variables by adding things slowly in and keeping the foundational one peptides that I'm using in for a long period of time. So like retatrutide, I've been on 1 milligram every 7 days for I think it's like 9 months now. So that's the foundation. It doesn't affect my heart rate, but my lipid parameters, they've always been very well, but I think now they are more optimal. My liver, my kidney parameters, way better. And I'm almost positive that it has to do with the retatrutide, even though I'm putting my body under a lot more stress. The but it also doesn't impact my hunger to where it slows down my GI tract. So I haven't had any constipation issues or GI issues like other people have because I'm keeping the dose low, which is what I believe you should do since it's a therapy drug and not a gastric emptying slowdown drug, right? So it's not meant to be for weight loss. That's the side effect of it. It's meant for controlling the blood sugar in your A1C levels. And yeah, that's my opinion. So I think a lot of people are using it wrong and they dose it daily or every other day, which I don't believe is the correct way to do it either. So I followed the pharmacology and the chemistry behind it. So, um, so that's the MOTS-C, the 5-amino 1-AQ. I believe it has a really good benefit for you if you are in a lower body fat percentage and you're trying to get that last bit of stubborn body fat, but then also to have more energy available since it does release the fatty acids from your fat cells better while maintaining glycogen in the muscles and in the liver. So the glucagon that I'm taking from Retta isn't impacting like it's not lowering my blood sugar in a way to where I go hypo. I do have a I do have episodal hypoglycemia, but that's just what happens whenever you train multiple times a day and you have your main source of calories coming from carbohydrates. But the 5-amino 1-AQ, it definitely makes my food choices be less impactful on my physique and on my performance. So again, there's been anecdotal evidence that we see from other people using it who are very lean. And this is the injectable kind, not the oral kind. Oral, it's a hit or miss. And know, uh, I don't know how much is available, like bioavailable after the oral ingestion. But the injectable, you can do intramuscular or sub-Q. I'm doing, I've done 1 milligram up to 5 milligrams, and right now I'm sticking around 4 milligrams. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm mixing in my syringe 1 milligram of MOTS-C with 4 milligrams of 5 amino 1MQ. Now, they say that because of the half life, it does need to be dosed a couple times a day. So I am doing that twice a day rather than 3 times a day. And again, energy level's great. I My sleep is what it is. It's always been poor in a sense, and um, and that's something that's hard to manage. So it's not the peptides that are affecting it. It's just a cortisol thing that I've always been dealing with, just because my mind races at night, and so it has that like anxiety that I'm ready to get up the next day and do the things that I need to do. I'm a very task oriented person, so it it's not impactful on my sleep that I can say otherwise. Now I am starting back growth hormone at 2 IU's before bed. So maybe, I did it last night, was my first day back on it after taking about a month and a half off. So my sleep quality, I feel like I got a little bit deeper sleep, but I still got up multiple times to go pee. And I still got up I got up around 5 o'clock instead of 4:15, 4:30. So the extra, 30 minutes, I would say over a week's worth is a lot of extra time sleeping. So, uh, but yeah, I don't see any like extra sharpness coming from the 5 amino 1MQ as far as my body fat percentage, but also I'm not trying to get leaner, so I'm not a good candidate on that. But I do find that it does help with again with energy production, and it's a NMT agonist or antagonist, yeah, antagonist. So it does allow your body to to be able to have more energy available whenever it needs it, right? So that's what I'm trying to keep. I'm trying to make sure that my gas tank is full all the time, even though it's running 24/7. So I think it's a good combination with the MOTS-C and the 5 amino 1MQ. The Slooh I did get rid of. Currently, I was doing 1 milligram every day before my morning workout, and I wouldn't do it before cardio unless I switch my days up. But to where I do my morning cardio on the cycle, then I would take the Slooh in the morning before that. And again, I think Slooh, I like it because I think I didn't notice like it's not like a burst of energy that you would get from caffeine, or let's say like an enhanced kind of like a let's see, like what am I trying to say, like if you want to like focus in your energy on something, almost like a methamphetamine or a tesofensin, right? It's not that type of energy, you'd say. I'd say it's on the back end, it's on the back burner. And yeah, I'm only using 1 milligram, but everybody else who's reading these rat studies and rabbit studies and mice studies, they're like, oh, it's got to be 100 milligrams, 3 to 4 times a day because of the short half-life. Well, I mean, we're so far distant as far as the biology and physiology from either of those animals that it just doesn't make sense. And these algorithms and these equations that we use to convert drug doses from an animal to a human, they're not always the same one. Like it's not applicable to every single drug out there. So like you're not going to use that same equation for like, let's say like a bipolar medication, and you're not going to use that same one for a statin. It doesn't make any sense. So there's also so many other variables when it comes into play, because you're not the studies, they're not like, again, they're not rats or mice or rabbits that are freaking, training this much and have this much lean tissue versus the rest of their body weight. Like the FFM percentage is totally different. how our the mechanisms of our body of how it works, how we fluctuate in metabolism. It's just not the same. We think we freaking go out and we work like a mouse and such. Like they don't they're not doing what we're doing. They're not going outside dealing with stressors of the world, the environment. They're stuck in a lab box. So it doesn't make sense, right? And everyone's different. Everyone's going to be different as far as like their their physiology and all these different um, what am I trying to say? Like someone's going to be fat, overweight, obese. Okay, there's going to be totally different dose for someone who's fit, who has more lean muscle, someone who has a diet with higher carbohydrates versus lower fats, and vice versa. Someone if they have stress in their life versus if they can't manage stress in their life and it overtakes them too much, or someone responds to stress by overeating and seeking out dopamine versus other people who stress and they want to sleep and they have low energy. So there's so many different variables, and that's really what I want to get through to people is that you know it's not a one size fits all, right? You can't just you're going to have influencers that say, "Hey, take this dose because like this is the study." Like they're these people are regurgitating information that they're getting from other people, or they're putting it into Chat GPT, which we know Chat GPT is terrible at medical information. It just is. It's very wrong. It's contradicting. AI is not there yet. Okay. And that's what people are doing. They are using AI to give you some answers. Okay. Not everybody, but the majority of people, especially young people who are in their 20s. They just haven't lived a life. They don't have experience. Um, so the Slooh, I think, is great on the back end. I see people's organs be improved via blood work and also scans. So lipid profile, same thing. So Retta plus Slooh, man, if you have some dyslipidemia, if you have any issues with organs like kidneys, liver, I mean, lymphatic system, I mean, there's so many ways you can go with this. I believe that it does help. It's not a one drug fix all, but uh, I think optimizing mitochondrial health, uh, energy exchanges, ATP production, making the body more aware of what energy source to use and at what time. I think all those really come into play to fix a body that needs some help and is broken, maybe. Uh, so so that's my answer. They're all great, but they all do different things. So they're not comparable. I'm sorry. It's like saying what's better, an orange or an apple, or a tangerine versus a blood orange. Like tangerine and blood orange, they're so different, right? They're not comparable. So all right. Next question. It's about diet. So if there's someone comes to you and they want to um, get consultation, what's the first steps that you do to manage their diet? Well, everyone's so different. And the first things that I do is I do ask them to give me a list of, to be accountable and give me a list of what they're eating for a week. Get a food scale. I need measurements. I need numbers. Without numbers, you can't make any calculations and you won't have any information or to use to change. So same reason, same reason why we track our finances and we keep those numbers written down. So if you want to be able to save money, you got to know how much you're spending, right? So we need to be able to see what is our food bank doing in our body. Okay, are we consuming too much? Are we not consuming that much? Are we eating foods that are offensive to our body? Like I like to see people put notes in on how they actually feel after they eat and how much energy that they have. What did they do during that day? Their physical activity level. So we go from there. And once I get all that information, let's say this person ends up just really, really eating. Let, let's make it a little bit more complicated. Like they eat within their calorie range for maintenance, um, and they want to build muscle, but they got a lot of processed foods in there. They got some foods that make them not so um, that don't feel so good, right? So maybe they have some GI issues, maybe some water retention, some headaches, less motivation. So maybe some foods that they're eating before the gym, they they feel like they're not digesting well enough, so then they don't do well in the gym, and they drink the fluids and the hydration, and it feels like their gut is just distending, and they're not, and their body's trying to break down the food, so now the blood goes to the stomach. Now they can't get a pump in the gym, so now they're just like lacking gym performance and lacking exercise intensity, which is going to be a big factor in building muscle. So what I start to do is I start to just peel back the layers of what they're eating to less processed foods and more foods with one ingredient, right? So you're trying to get as close as you can to one ingredient. And what I mean by that is like potato chips versus potato, right? Totally different as far as ingredients goes. Chicken versus frozen chicken. So if you get like frozen chicken, there's tons of additive ingredients. Let's get fresh chicken and let's cook that, and we can cook it and separate it into, let's say, two chicken breasts or three chicken breasts in a frozen bag, and you can bag it and freeze it and pull it out whenever you need it. So that's what I'm saying. As far as sauces and everything goes, just try to stick to the least offensive one. Again, the less the ingredients, the better. If you need to cut calories, make sure that the the sauces or the dressings that you're getting are lower in fat. Try to find maybe yogurt-based ones. Yogurts, even though you're lactose intolerant, it doesn't seem to really hurt you that much. You can make your own types of dressings. There's so many different options out there now as far as like lower calorie dressings. Just get the one that has the least amount of offensive ingredients. Try to get the gluten-free ones. Just because, again, we're trying to put in one less offender, because the way that a lot of foods are processed now, it does change the the gluten itself, the wheat gluten or the rice gluten, whatever is being used in America, we change it just small enough to where, and during farming processes and manufacturing processes, that it does aggravate our GI tract, especially if you're eating a lot of food. It's a lot of more foods to process, a lot more chemicals to process, molecules to process. So we want to try to reduce the offenders. So I'm not an advocate of making sure that everyone is gluten-free or lactose-free, but I find, 7 times out of 10, people typically feel better when they try to do soy-free, gluten-free items. It's like they get less bloated looking in the face, like less, you know, less acne. Like again, that's another question I have in a minute. But yeah, so that's kind of the first thing that I do. And then outside of that, sorry, I'm getting text. Um, yeah, but I try to make sure that they don't drink their calories as well. So yes, fruit juices have amazing vitamin C, 100% vitamin C. Great, amazing. Orange juice probably makes you poop in the morning. Great, amazing. But unless you're using that to restore glycogen and get that kind of get your body out of a cortisol in the morning to make you a little bit more anabolic, if you're an athlete, like, and you need those extra calories, then I would not drink my calories. Eat some fruit, get the fiber in there, get the polyphenols in there. There's a lot more to digesting when you digest your food, whole foods. There's more that happens in your body that can help with burning calories, that can help with aiding in reducing arch, um, arterial plaque, right? With some of these fibers in the fruits, it helps to help with the GI tract as well. Maybe reduce leaky gut syndrome if you're eating the correct kinds of fruits at the correct amounts. Which that's another problem. People seem to overeat FODMAP approved foods, which then makes them FODMAP like an offensive food. And because of the quantity that you're eating, it's not really just the quality. It's again, you're playing a game, it's quality and quantity all at the same time. So these are all things that I look at, because even as we age, sometimes things will digest well when we're younger, but then 5 years later, it might not digest well. And sometimes we just need to change things up. And the cause of that, it could be the body's like the body just doesn't have enough variety, and so like people end up getting a an intolerance response to things like chicken, and then they can't really digest chicken that well anymore, or eggs. We see chicken, eggs pretty often, where people were able to eat it, but then now they're not able to eat it. So we'll change that up. Put some type of fruit, veggie, and different sources of meat in their diet throughout the week, and add some variety. So we always want to eat a colorful plate. Colorful plate. Um, Find an optimal food volume for you, uh, and then getting foods with close to one ingredient as possible. So the least amount of ingredients added. Okay, the next question is about um, helping to reduce acne. This person is on a cycle of anabolic steroids and androgenic steroids. Now, there's a lot more things that happen as far as like production of um, of oil when we're talking about DHT levels and estrogen levels, whether male or female, and progesterone levels, right? Now, I would say the number one thing that I recommend is taking a step back and looking at your hygiene. When you start altering your body's hormone balance, even this is the same for women who age as well, so menopause and such. And you might be sweating more often throughout the day. You might be sweating more while you're sleeping. Now we need to start thinking about the clothes that you're wearing. How much sweat do the clothes hold? What's the environment you live in? Will it cause bacterial growth on those clothes? How long are you wearing those clothes for? How often do you wash your sheets, your pillowcase? Your pillowcase is the number one offender, right? So, you can use your pillowcase. So I have two pillows on my bed. So typically I'll try to wash our sheets like every other day or every 3 days. And with the pillows, I have two of them, one for my arm and one for my head. So I will flip the pillowcase every night. And then, so like, you flip the pillowcase, you sleep, then you flip it, you sleep, and then let's say you're not going to wash until the next day. So then I take the pillow I was using for my arm, I'll put that on my face, and then, I'll have a lesser oiled pillow. So that's a great option to look into. If some people want to wear shirts while they're sleeping because they sweat, well, the problem is it still goes through your shirt and onto your bed. So you still have to wash your sheets multiple times. So just wash your sheets. And typically I can tell the person's hygiene levels by looking at their car, like the inside of their car, maybe the inside of their house. Having animals in your house makes it way worse. And they bring in a lot of different bacteria, but you don't want it to sit on your clothes or on your furnitures and things like that. On your skin. I mean, you're touching your face after you touch the cat and dog, and who knows what they have on their body, like on their hair, and because they lick it with their tongue. So that's where a lot of people have allergies, like an autoimmune response to is the saliva touching their fur, and then you pet the animal, and that's how you get like an allergic reaction, or the fur is kind of going in the air, and you get the watery eyes and nose and such. So really take a step back and look at your hygiene. Um, so again, I don't have any issues. I barely get like pimples. Like I got maybe one little thing right here, but a lot of these are shaving. So, but yeah, even whenever I shave my legs and such, like I don't get the ingrown hairs. You don't go, like I try not to go against the hair. So, but I'm also not a hairy person. So, but yeah, cystic acne, you can look at your diet as well as another option, and then your GI tract. So we look at some of your CBC panel numbers and see what's going on in the gut. One person that I love to send people to is Austin Stout and Chris Tuttle and Dom Kuza. Those are three people I'd recommend if you do have gut issues. And yeah, so they can also help you out. Austin and Chris and Dom knows some stuff, but I don't know where I feel like he repeats some of the same stuff that Austin and Chris say. But Austin and Chris seem to be the pioneers of a lot of the GI issues. So I like them. I like what they listen to, or what they put out, and I listen to it. And yeah, they're very personalized people, so they make sure to focus on the individual and not just go by, um, we look at ratios and such. It's a lot more in depth with the lifestyle of the client. So, okay. um, all right, last question. I got another meeting call. So it's talking about like evidence-based approach versus bro science. Hey man, um, and they're asking about nutrition, and this can also go into training. But look at what people have done with their bodies, their physiques, and how they transformed themselves. But look at the trending pattern, because we don't want people who do a bro science thing and just you know their trends are like a roller coaster. Or we also don't want to look at like science-based, evidence-based, and they don't make any changes at all. Like there's no proof in what they're preaching. So like you wouldn't want to listen to someone about how to how to keep your face clear of acne if they have a bunch of acne. Like you're like, this dude doesn't know what he's talking about. You don't want to listen to someone who's like, do these workouts to make your arms bigger whenever he doesn't have big arms for training. You don't want to listen to a guy who says this is the like eat all organic and add olive oil to your meals and stuff. But they're fat, right? And they claim that they're not, which clearly they are. Like you don't want to listen to an obese, overweight nutritionist. It and I can guarantee you what they're going to say is, well, I got busy, I'm working, I got a family. Hey man, I got kids, I got jobs. Like I don't make excuses. You freaking we have the same 24 hours of the day. People just make excuses. Don't listen to those people. So it really comes down to you being able to discern, um, bull crap. So um, again, there's a place for evidence. There's a place for bro science, both in nutrition and in training and in lifestyle. And we're always finding out new things with evidence based and science based, and that we find out, oh, like bro science has been doing this for a long period of time. Um, okay, last easy question. This one's about creatine. Should I take creatine every day, and how much? Yeah, man, every day. It's there. It's getting cheaper now. It was expensive for a little bit, but go ahead and do 5 milligrams, 5 grams every day for females. I mean, I would do 2.5 grams, and I would work your way up, slowly titrate up, just to make sure that creatine is going to hold water into the muscle cell. But if your diet and body composition and hormone balances are all off, you are going to see some water retention and subcutaneous fat. So really just, I would say take it every day, take it when it's convenient. It doesn't matter. Take it with food, take it around training. Your insulin will spike and it'll help with transporting it. Take it with EAAs. Totally fine. Take it pre-workout, take it intra-workout, take it post-workout. Just take it every day. You can work your way up to 10 grams a day, 15 grams a day. There's bolus doses of 30 grams a day to help with sleep deprivation. I'm not a big fan of that because someone takes it like it lacks a lot of credibility. So you wouldn't want to do 30 grams in one serving. You don't want to split up 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, But I think at that point, the person's feeling less fatigued because they're actually hydrated. So how about you just do electrolytes? So I would like to see that study, creatine versus electrolytes in sleep deprivation. I'm a bigger fan in electrolytes. Add the creatine to your electrolytes. Drink enough water. I drink about 2.5 to 3 gallons a day. Hence why I'm pissing so much at night. And that is it for today. Thank you for listening. Drop any comments in the section and share it. Please share it to people who want to get in shape or optimize their health. That would be great.